Hey, what's good? If ever someone was born to be a fighter, it's Johnny Tapia. Johnny Tapia, like it says right here, he fought every day of his life. In the documentary, Max Kellerman recalls a story about this guy. And Johnny Tapia was just walking, and this guy calls out. He's like, Johnny, hey man, you're an inspiration to my life, man, because you came from the bottom, you came from nothing. He's like, you came from nothing, and now you made it. And he said that Johnny Tapia replied, nah, man, I haven't made it. He said, I haven't made it. I struggle every single day. Johnny Tapia was a fighter, man. Every day of his life was a fighter. And it this documentary really showed that, really showed his love. Honestly, I think this showed a love for life because he kept emphasizing like today. He's like tomorrow probably not gonna come. Yesterday is already gone. Today's the best day. And that's something I always say, like today is always better than yesterday because I'm living it. I'm living right now, not yesterday anymore. But this documentary went in depth to his childhood. His mother got killed when he was 8 years old. Just a tragic story. For those that been following boxing for a while, already know this, but it's just it's interesting to recall that again. You know, to know that, to see it in the documentary. Johnny Tapia talking about it. He cried a few times in this documentary, guys. Johnny Tapia cried. I think he would be one of the strongest person ever, you know, but he cried a few times when discussing his mother, when discussing his best friend dying in a car accident that he had. With this car accident, his best friend and his niece died in that car accident. And where were they going? They were going to visit Johnny Tapia in the hospital because he had overdosed from cocaine. So he kind of felt guilty. It went over, you know, how he fell in his first loss to Paulie Ayala. You know, he was pissed in those two fights when he lost both fights, but he believes in his, you know, heart of hearts that he won. He believes that, and I think too. I think he won. I gave the first fight 8-4 and the second fight 7-5. But for those interested in Johnny Tapia, or that if you don't know who Johnny Tapia is, watch this documentary, man. Johnny Tapia's story is one of the saddest story in boxing. And for those that follow the sport, you know boxing has had some tragedies, man. Tragic stories. Johnny Tapia is one of the saddest stories in boxing. He's not the greatest fighter of all time, but he is one that loved the sport, and he said it himself that he was at peace. He was at peace when he was only at peace when he was in the ring. Man, he suffered from addiction, he suffered from depression, from bipolar disorder. This man he never caught a break, and I don't think he wanted one. And but all those things made him a better fighter, I believe. And they said it, even if Johnny Tapia, you know, didn't have all these demons, he wouldn't be Johnny Tapia. He wouldn't be Johnny Tapia if he didn't have all those demons. One thing I want to say, I don't want to say too much about this movie, of this documentary, that I believe it's a must watch. It is a must watch. But I want to say one thing that happened in the documentary. I want to spoil one thing for you that, oh man, it hit me so bad. He said when he found out, they found his mother's killer 24 years after she died. This man, he stabbed her with an ice pick 23 times. 23 times stabbed her with an ice pick. What a horrific death. But cops closed investigations until like 20 years later. And then they found out who the killer was. And it turned out that the killer had died 8 years after she killed Johnny's mother. So so Johnny talked about it, and he's like, oh, it hurts so bad that he's dead. He said, I wanted to do that. He died in a hit and run accident. He's like, I wanted to be the one that killed him. I wanted to kill this fool. Because no one touches my mother. No one. In his book, he's like, that's my love in my life. He says how much he loved his mother. And he said in this documentary as well, he said, oh, I wanted to kill him. I would have killed him. He wanted to be the one that did it. On that, like, he's like, I would have been happy killing him and spending the rest of my life in prison, because I would have done what I wanted to do. Man, and he found that out before the first Poli Ayala fight. So he went into that fight with all that anger, all that pain into that fight. So, yeah, this documentary is a must watch. A must watch. If you're not a fan of the sport, if you're not a fan of boxing, of fighting, you still gotta watch this fight. If you want to learn more about Johnny Tapia and his life, watch this documentary. I think you will learn something new about Johnny Tapia. And boxing, maybe about boxing as well, man. About what makes fighters great. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching, and comment if you've seen this movie. What do you think about it? What do you think about Johnny Tapia's life and his career? I think his career is severely overrated because of his demons overshadowed his career. But he was a brilliant boxer. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to rate and subscribe. Peace.